a little bit hard to edit because it brings back so many memories of bad things that happened last year. I don't think I could have given you a proper update a few months ago because I just wasn't in the right mindset. I was in such a bad headspace. I was angry and I was sad and I was crying a lot. Now everything still feels a bit surreal. The emotional pain is still there. I can just manage it better. So I feel that I'm able to talk about this. Just a heads up, if my voice does sound a little bit strange, it is because I've had the Rona and it seemed to have affected my voice as well as my brain. I asked you on my community tab what video you would like to see next, and the majority of you voted that you want to know everything that has happened between Japan and now. And I'm gonna make 2 separate videos because it would be impossible for me to fit everything into one video because a lot of stuff happened. So last year I made the decision to temporarily leave Japan, and long story short, my dad got diagnosed with cancer. Initially when he got diagnosed, we had no idea of how long it had remained undetected or how far it has progressed. But when we found out, it was just the most surreal, gutting feeling because 2 weeks prior, literally 2 weeks prior to my dad being diagnosed, my nan passed away, also from cancer, from breast cancer. And what my nan had remained undetected for years. So those were the first 2 shocks of 2020. And then the real issue surfaced when they finally did the biopsies and the blood tests. We basically found out that it was already in his bones. So while John and I were in Japan, my dad decided to start chemotherapy. And this is where I got really, really worried. And this is where I made the decision to come back. It was just no question for me. I had to come back because he did not take the chemotherapy well at all. It made him very, very sick. I was incredibly scared that my dad will just die and I won't have the opportunity to even say bye to him. And my mum was dealing with this by herself at this point. There was nobody else helping her, and her health was not good last year either. She actually had a tumor in her arm. It was there for like 2 years, but we were struggling to find a doctor who would actually operate on it. And I'm guessing maybe the stress of the whole situation made it worse. It made it unbearably painful for her to the point where she could not play the piano anymore. And my mum is a classical pianist. She plays the piano for a living. I ended up returning to the UK about a month and a half later than I wanted to. And that was because my initial flight got cancelled. I was so stressed in Japan. My blood pressure got so bad, I could feel the blood rushing to my ears. So while I was searching for another flight, I got another call from my mum who basically said that they had to stop the chemotherapy because it made my dad 1,000 times worse. It seemed to have just sped up the whole process. So I was adamant to come back and I finally found a flight, but it was a lot longer than the average flight from Japan to the UK. I think it was about 22 hours. This was a last minute flight. I think we had about 3 or 4 days before we had to leave, but we did do some nice things too. We went back to Skytree. I love Tokyo Skytree. I would go there every single day if I could. There it is. That is Salamachi, right next to Skytree. I know a lot of people prefer Tokyo Tower, but I just love the futuristic aspect of Skytree. And I also love it because it reminds me of my dad, because he was a builder his entire life, and then he worked his way up to being the project manager of some of the most incredible buildings in the world. His work can be seen all over Central Asia, all over East Asia, United Arab Emirates, and we used to talk about Skytree a lot because structurally it is so impressive. As well as being the tallest structure in Japan, it's also meant to withstand structural damage in the event of natural disasters, and I just love that. I'm gonna go show John and see what he thinks. I don't know how this happened, but I lost John. I don't know where he is. I'm in this shop. I don't even know what the shop is. It's got anime and it's got Doraemon. Isn't this adorable? A chocobo mat. But it's like 3,300 yen. I think that's quite pricey. Okay, so we just quickly popped into Daiso. Look at all the cute chopsticks. All the goods here are so cute. Would you like one?
No, I'm good.
You can represent. Wherever you go, you can represent Japan. It was so shocking to see Narita International Airport so empty. It was deserted. It felt like it was illegal to be there. I felt like I was trespassing, to be honest. Everywhere I went, I was like, am I supposed to be here? The flight was totally okay. There were hardly any people on it. It was the first time in my entire life that I had 3 seats all to myself. After arriving in the UK, we had to stay in quarantine for 14 days. We really didn't do too much during that time. We basically just played Persona 5 and Death Stranding. I got a kalimba. I couldn't see my mum or my dad during this time. I did feel a lot better that I was in the UK, however, because at least the proximity was there. After quarantine, I had to travel to London with my mum where she had an appointment for her arm. We managed to find a surgeon who would remove the tumor. This surgeon was private and of course it was a lot of money, but it's been going on for so long and the NHS have said that it's not something that they're willing to do. And the reason they wouldn't do it was because it was a very specialist procedure with a low rate of success. And in case you're wondering what it is, my mum, she had a tumor near her elbow that was basically embedded in her nerve. So you can imagine how painful that is. So we went to the appointment with the surgeon and the surgeon was like, yep, I can do it. I was very skeptical because we've been to so many doctors, but we had no other options. It was either live in pain or take the risk, and we decided to take the risk. After her consultation, I decided to take her to a lavender field. I love lavender fields. I went to a lavender field in Hokkaido with my cousin Angelina, and I found out that there's a lavender field in London, or just north of London, called Hitchin. So it would be a nice way for her to take her mind off things. I am going to try it and see how it compares to the Hokkaido lavender ice cream. That's what I want to know. Yeah. The one that we had in Hokkaido was in a cone. I remember it tasting floral. Does it smell floral to you? I can't tell if it's the general scent of this whole area or if it's this ice cream that smells. This tastes much more like lavender than the one in Hokkaido. The one in Hokkaido, I think the focus was on the dairy, but here the focus is definitely on the lavender flavor. I'm actually quite surprised. I think the aesthetic of the Hokkaido ice cream was better because it was in a cone and it was this beautiful purple color, but this is just like a very creamy, how would you describe it? Because it's not fully white. It looks more like normal ice cream, but it really does taste like lavender. There are so many bumblebees here. There's so many of them and they're very, very cute, but I'm also a little bit scared. It's because the lavender is so close together. There's bees. There's bees. My heart. So far, the biggest difference I see in the fields between these ones here and the ones in Hokkaido is that these fields have much more bushier patches of lavender. Yeah, I know it's very beautiful, but like... Oh my god.
I'm filming, don't scream.
I'm fine.
We need a zip.
The lavender here is quite different to the lavender that we saw in Hokkaido. The lavender in Hokkaido was a little bit more lighter in color and it didn't smell quite as strongly as this. And also, Farm Tomita in Hokkaido had other flowers there too, so it wasn't just lavender, but this is purely just lavender fields and it's gorgeous. It's so, so pretty. My mum's going in front of me to protect me from the bees. You're sacrificing yourself. But look how bushy this is. This is crazy. So a few weeks go by, my dad's health started to deteriorate rapidly. And this was the same month as my mum had to have her arm surgery. And I went to London with my mum for her surgery and I stayed in the hotel opposite the hospital. Do you want to wave with your hand? Okay, there you go. Are you nervous? Yes. Oh, okay. You'll be fine. I'm going to go out now and I'm going to pick up some food because I am going to be spending the night alone as my mum is currently in hospital. She has to stay the night. She's had general anesthetic, so she needs to stay there, which means I'm going to be all by myself and I'm going to be very, very hungry like I am now. Look at this cute IKEA bag. Isn't it adorable? I got it from Tokyo's IKEA and it's so handy. I clip it onto my bag and all my loyalty cards are in here and you cannot get this off. I've tried getting it off and I cannot get it off. And I'm just wearing my little Maison de Fleur bag, which seems to have picked up a lot of hair and stuff. Please ignore the mess behind me, but this is what I'm wearing today. I'm wearing my Kira-made Tigera t-shirt. Then I've got a mask on. I don't know if I'm going to wear this outside because it is very hot and stuffy today. If there's no people around, then I'll probably take it off. But you have to wear a mask in the UK if you are using public transport, which is good. I've seen people not do it, but it's still good that it's there. I don't know what can happen if they don't wear it, to be honest. I'll have to research it. Yeah, that's what I look like. Casual. Let's go.
Unless you are exempt, if you do not wear a face covering at all times while travelling on TfL services, you may be denied entry to the network or face fine.
So I just really want to show you how much the Kit Kats cost here. £12, 89 pence. The sake Kit Kat is £15, 39. I would kill for some of these Kit Kats right now, but I'm not gonna get any because they're super expensive. Look at this golden curry. Oh, this is nostalgic. These were all available in my supermarket. They're so expensive here though. Normally if you get curry in Japan, it's like a budget option, I feel. But here's like $4.59. Too expensive. I'm back in the hotel now and I'm just having a little snack because I'm really hungry. I got these seaweed crisps, these Korean seaweed crisps from Japan Center, and they are so good. I've had them before in Japan last year maybe, and then I just didn't buy them again for some reason. But this is what they look like. They've got seaweed on one side and then rice on the other, and these are barbecue flavor, and these sound so satisfying to chew. Put my mask on. After waiting outside for ages, my mom's finally out. How are you feeling? No, let me take your bag. What are you doing? Give me your bag. I expected a cast, to be honest. But it's not a cast, it's just bandaging, isn't it?
Something is breaking, yeah.
Yeah. Does it hurt?
No.
That's really good. I'm so happy that you got it done.
Thank you. Me too, yeah. So we'll wait for the biopsy.
Yeah.
The most important.
I think it'll be okay.
I hope so.
So I got my mum this melon pan from Japan Center in Piccadilly. I want to try this and see if this is as good as the 7-Eleven melon pan in Japan. Oh, so this is the tea from Hokkaido.
Yes.
You kept it.
Of course I did, yeah. For special occasion.
Oh wow, it's still in date. It's still very much in date. Ooh, this will taste really nice with honey.
Черешню и себе тоже, ладно?
So I went back with my mum and I tried to look after her as best as I could. She was very limited in what she could do because she was supposed to rest her arm and she couldn't move it too much. And at this point we had no idea whether the procedure was a success or not. This is not something that we would find out until later. And the whole situation was really worrying for two reasons. One, it cost a lot of money, so for it to not work would just be devastating. And two was that it was the very last resort. This procedure was the only thing that could possibly help her. I was worried, I was stressed, my mum was stressed, my dad was stressed, and my dad's condition was just deteriorating rapidly. Until one day, towards the end of August, I got a call from my mum, and I was staying with John that night, and she basically said, there's something wrong. So I quickly drove over to my mum's house with John, and I took one look at my dad, and I was like, we need to call an ambulance because he's suffering, he's in pain. So that morning the ambulance decided to take him to the hospital. So for the next couple of weeks my mum was in the hospital from 9 o'clock in the morning at the latest till midnight. And I was really worried because she was recovering from the surgery and I didn't know what to do. How are all the animals on there? Did you Photoshop? That's what you were doing. That's what you were doing when you were playing with your phone and my stylus.
Yeah.
I can tell that you wrapped this one, John, because it seems to have medical tape all over it.
I couldn't find any other sellotape.
So this is medical tape. I've got 2 hard drives and I've run out of memory and now I have another one. Thank you so much. Thank you. That's so nice.
You're making the most out of today, aren't you?
Yes, I am. We
Love
have
you.
Larry, we have Catty, we have Casper, Clefairy, we have Socks, Drake, and Roland. My mum gets my face. And Larry. And Catty. Here you go, there's some cake for you.
Oh,
It's got
thank
my
you.
face on it because you gave birth to me.
Oh, thank you so much. That's beautiful.
On the 2nd of September, really early in the morning, my mum was already at the hospital and she rang me and she basically said, I think you and John need to come here. Yeah, that was the last day I saw my dad. I've like not cried in ages. I'm really sorry. I think another thing that affected me and my mum too was that my dad was diagnosed so quickly after my nan had passed away. We had no time to process my nan passing away. I think I must have had like a mental break or something that day because I could not understand. Even thinking about it now, I don't understand what happened last year. What happened? It was just too much. So I'm gonna leave this here. I think it's a very long video already. But to finish this video off on a good note, a few months after my mum's surgery, we found out that it was a success. So it's been a few months since that clip was taken and my mum's come back to teaching piano and playing the piano. It's the best news of 2020. If you've made it this far, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I really hope that you can like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye.